Hi, I'm Mary Loren Buckman. I am so proud of my new cooking book. It's called The Dressing Table. And my sister, Rebecca, actually has the dressing table in her bedroom. That's the one that's on front of the book. It's beautiful. Thank you, Rebecca, for the dressing table, for letting me use that for my book. Also, I'm making Rebecca's potatoes au gratin. And it's in my book. And this is a recipe that I grew up with. I mean, since I was a little kid. This is a recipe that's been in our family, you know, since, like I said, I was a little girl. And we still use this very same recipe. My mother told me this original recipe came out of the her Good Housekeeping cookbook that she got as a wedding gift. And it didn't have cheese in it, but she later added the cheese in it to give it more flavor, more substance. But this is our potatoes au gratin. It's very simple. It is delicious. Once you're done making it, it's just going to be beautiful. And then what's going to happen is, if you wanted to add meat to this, while you're layering it, you could add brown ground beef, you could add shredded chicken, you could add ham, would be wonderful. I mean, you can make this into a one-meal casserole. Maybe serve a salad on the side. But this is what we're going to do. Clean hands. My hair is pulled back. And what I'm going to do, and I have a towel next to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer in the potatoes. I peeled them and I sliced them and I put them in water to hold them. Keep them fresh. This is going to be so good. And then I have one layer down. Now in this recipe, you can kind of do the cheese however you want to do it. You know, you can shred it, you can do it any way you want. I just chose to slice it because I remember seeing my sister using sliced cheese for it, but you can shred it. Go in your cheese drawer, all your leftover cheeses, just grate them all or slice them all. You can get any cheese that you want to use, you can use in this recipe. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I just go in my cheese drawer, I grab what cheese I have to use that might go bad. I just shred it all together and I use it in this. So the first thing you want to do is you always want to season. So you want to take ground pepper, and put some ground pepper on. You want to take some salt. You just want to season your layers of potatoes. And then you want to take some pads of butter. This is one stick of butter, or half a cup. You just kind of want to lay your pads of butter around the dish. I have a 1/4 cup of flour here, but you're not going to use it all. I just like to always measure out a 1/4 cup. I don't know why, but what you do is you take the flour and you sprinkle it on the potatoes. I usually maybe use like half of it. And then what you want to do is you want to take onions. This is a medium onion. And you want to put half of them on. And then this is the fun part, putting all the cheese. In our family, we have a saying, there's never too much cheese. So in the recipe, I gave you a kind of like a guide to how much cheese to use and what kind of cheese. I like to use cheddar. Like I said, you can use any cheese you want. I happen to have cheddar cheese and I love cheddar cheese. You know, it's a guide. You can do how much cheese you want, even if you don't want to do any cheese at all, that's fine. This is your recipe. This is what you like. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to take the other potatoes and you want to put them on top. You kind of want to shake off the excess. A little water is not bad, but you want to shake off. Now you can make, my mother made this with milk. And I've seen over the years, because recipes kind of change over the years, I like to use half and half with my potatoes. But you could use whole milk. I've used low-fat milk. I use 2% milk. So really what you have. But the half and half will make it a little bit creamier. Now what you want to do is you want to repeat. You want to do the salt, and you want to do the pepper. Make sure it's very well seasoned. Potatoes love seasoning. Potatoes love salt. So this is one time that you really don't be afraid to put too much salt on. Potatoes just suck up salt. Now, I'm not going to put the flour on because on the top layer, if you put the flour on, sometimes when you go in to spoon it out, you'll have raw flour. So I don't put it on the top layer, so I'm done with the flour. So I am going to put on the rest of the onion. And what's really good is if you have leftovers, the next day, take a stock pot, put a quart of chicken broth in it, and whatever these potatoes you have left over, chop them up, put them in the broth, add some more seasonings, just go in your seasoning cabinet, add more seasonings, and then cook it, and then add some more half and half and some butter, and you have the most wonderful cheese potato soup. You can add broccoli, you can add meat, you can do ham, do whatever you want, but it makes a wonderful soup the next day. And then you want to finish off with your butter. Now what we're going to accomplish today is we're going to make Sunday dinner. Today's Sunday, and this is going to be also, besides showing you how to make these wonderful dishes, this is going to be our Sunday dinner. So, and then you put the rest of the cheese on. And then what I do, let me clean up a little bit. Now what you do is you take the half and half, and you don't really need to measure it. What I do is I watch the sides of the casserole, and I only go up halfway. I just keep pouring till I can see it go up just about halfway. I'm there. I'm halfway up the pan with the half and half. And then what I want to do is I want to take a piece of aluminum foil. But before I take the aluminum foil and put it on the casserole, I'm going to get some cooking spray. Now that I have my cooking spray, I'm going to spray the aluminum foil. And this way, the potatoes and the cheese aren't going to stick to the aluminum foil. Believe me, that's happened so many times to me, where I go to take off the foil and I have the potatoes and the cheese and so on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cover this tight with aluminum foil. And I have my oven at 425 degrees. And I want to cook these for about an hour and a half, at least 90 minutes. Now what you could do after 90 minutes is you could take a steak knife and you could go through the aluminum foil and everything and test to see if your potatoes are tender. What you want is you want tender potatoes. I'm going to put this in the oven now. My oven's at 425. Now what we're making for our dessert for our Sunday dinner is we're making cheese apple crisp. Boy, this is going to be a cheesy dinner, but we love cheese here. And I got my apples, I peeled them, cored them, and I diced them in a large dice. I put them in water. I also put the juice of a lemon over them in the water. So they're going to have it's really good because it helps them not to brown, but also it's going to have a little bit of a lemon flavor to them. They're going to be delicious. And then I also, if you want to have a really good kitchen air freshener, take the lemon when you're done and put it in the garbage disposal, and then your kitchen will smell like lemon. It smells really good in here because I just grinded my lemon up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start clean hands, clean towel by my side, always. I'm going to put the apples in my pan. Now remember, they're going to have a little bit of lemon flavor to them. They're going to be delicious. Shake off as much excess water as you can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar over the apples. Now when I was growing up, I lived in Maryland, I lived in Virginia, and apple crisp was a big deal in our family. We always had a lot of apples. We made a lot of crisp. We've just like added to it over the years. I've added the cheese over the years to it because I love apple pie and sharp cheese. So I thought I bet apple crisp and sharp cheese would be wonderful again. I'm going to rinse my hands. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover the apples and the brown sugar with cheddar cheese. Now in the book it says 1 cup of cheddar cheese, but of course we can use as much cheddar cheese as we would like to use. So I had my son a few minutes ago just grate up a hunk of cheddar cheese. And you put that over the apples. My son is really good in the kitchen. He can grate cheese, he can cook, he can do anything. He's excellent in the kitchen. This is my 19-year-old son. And my oldest son, Eric, ran a kitchen for years and years and years. Now he went back to school and he's studying to be an underwater welder. And so cooking and food prep and stuff has kind of been just in our family and in my family also when I was younger. Thank you for letting me share these very special memories with you. I'm really enjoying this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 cup and a half of all-purpose flour. Then I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then what I did is I took 2 sticks, a cup of butter, and I cut them up, I sliced them. And I'm going to put the butter right in with the flour and the cinnamon and the salt. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pastry blender and I'm going to mix these until they have the consistency of crumbs. Not fine crumbs, but just really nice crumbs. Take me a few minutes to do that. My crumbs, I have crumbs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of pecans. Now, I like to always roast any kind of nut that I'm using before I put them in a recipe. So I did put these in the oven and I did get them a little brown so I can start the oils to start coming out of them. Then I'm going to do a little toss. And now I'm going to put this on top of my crisp. Just cake it on, just all over. Just pile this on. And what I was thinking about, we are getting into fall. And I think this is just a beautiful dish to have on a cold fall night, you know, with company, a cup of coffee. Also, this would make a beautiful end for a brunch. This would just be a beautiful ending for a nice brunch. And I put this in the oven now, and I'll cook it for about a 1/2 hour. Now what we're going to make to go with our gratin potatoes. We're going to have the cheese apple crisp for dessert. I'm going to start working on the pork chops. I just love pork chops in the fall. I just think it's so wonderful. My mother totally loved pork chops. And this is how she made them. And they were just the best pork chops in the whole world. I really would like to share this with you. This is my mother's pork chops. They are out of this world tender. They're out of this world delicious. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put some olive oil in the bottom of my skillet. I'm going to give that a while to get nice and bubbly. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to salt and pepper my pork chops. These pork chops are gorgeous. They're just beautiful. I'm going to put salt on them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the pan, my heated skillet with olive oil. I put the pork chops in a hot skillet with some olive oil, and I've already salt and peppered one of the sides that I put face down in the pan. And I'm going to salt and pepper the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let them brown. Just let them get golden brown on both sides. Well, it got a little bit smoky in here frying these pork chops, but they look absolutely delicious. The browns on both sides, they look absolutely wonderful. You have this wonderful bits in the bottom of the pan. You have a lot of fun. You're really doing good. And then what you do is you take 4 cups of water, just 4 cups of water, and you want to slowly pour these in to your pork chops. And then what you want to do is you want to turn your pan on about medium high, and what's going to happen is it's going to start to boil. And then when it starts to boil, you turn them down to like medium low. And you want to simmer them. You want to simmer them until all the liquid is gone. And what you have left is the grease from the olive oil and the natural grease in the pork chops. And they're going to be so tender, fall off the bone tender. And I'll show you what we do with them when they're done. But this is all for the pork chops. We just want to let them cook. Now, I didn't forget the vegetables. And I wanted to do carrots, and I have this on high. I peeled about 3 pounds of carrots. I like them in large pieces. I think they look good on the plate. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put salt and pepper on them. These are the honey-glazed carrots that's in the book. These are my favorite carrots. And my husband absolutely loves them. Loves them. Now, as I was saying, I put 3 pounds of peeled carrots. I like them long in this recipe. Salt and pepper, water. Now, I think this is very, very important. I think it's very important in anything. I use local honey. I really believe that that is local raw honey. I believe it's so important to buy local honey. My doctor, he's the one who explained to me the importance of local honey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 3/4 cup of honey over the carrots. Honey is so good for you. It really helps your body. It really helps your body immune system. It really helps you fight so many different, I don't want to call them diseases, but afflictions. It really helps. I use this because of my stomach. And I just really think it's just really good. I really promote local honey. Now I'm going to also add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. This pan's getting full, but it'll be okay. And then I sliced 3/4 of a stick of butter. Now, what you do, I'm going to have to wash this very carefully. I don't think it's going to boil over. I think it's going to be fine. But you want it to get boiling. Until maybe it reduces a little bit, the water. I just keep it like on a simmer. But your goal is to have very little water left over. Because what's going to happen is the water's going to evaporate while they're boiling, while they're cooking. And what's going to happen is the butter's going to melt, the honey and the brown sugar are going to get incorporated. And what's going to happen when the water's gone through evaporation as you're cooking the carrots, you're going to have the most beautiful honey-glazed carrots ever. These are gorgeous. These are one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let my carrots cook, leave them alone. I'm going to let my pork chops just simmer till the water evaporates. I'm waiting for the water to evaporate in both pans. And then I have my apple crisp, and I have my potatoes in the oven that I put in first because they take the longest to make, is the potatoes. So this is how I'm working on my very special fall dinner, and thank you again for letting me share this with you. Thank you very much. Well, my pork chops are all the water evaporated, and my mom always said that the last step to making these pork chops is to just turn them over and let them be in that natural fat. And these pork chops, these are going to fall off the bone. These are my mom's pork chops. They are just a wonder. They are just delicious. Now, you can go further than this with these pork chops. You can take, of course, the pork chops out, put in some, make a roux, put in some chicken stock, make a gravy. I've done that. That's delicious. With mashed potatoes and so on. It's really great. But I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to take them out of the pan. Look at these pork chops. Whenever I make these pork chops, I always think about my mom. My mom wasn't supposed to eat pork. My mom wasn't supposed to eat, and she couldn't help it. She just totally loved these pork chops. I'm going to take my fork that I use